Hello and welcome to today's episode of Podcast with ShodhEco. Today we have with us Ameet Singh, who is an economist and works with a lot of data in the fields of energy, air and waste management. Nowadays we know that data is oil, and so we today will discuss about the relevance and the importance of quality data and how it can be used in policy decisions. So the very first question I want to ask you is that why is the accurate data important in today's context?
Let's look at a problem from anecdotal point of view so that it is easier to understand. Let us say you are going out of your house and there is a hole in the road. Take? Now there's a hole in the road, but when you call up the government and ask them, sir, there is a hole in my road, they'll say, कौन सा road? Then you will say, sir, वो रास्ते में गड्ढा है, कौन सा गड्ढा? Then you will say, sir, वो गड्ढा है रास्ते में, देखिए वहाँ कोई गिर जाएगा, मर जाएगा, हो सकता है बहुत बड़ा गहरा गड्ढा है. But they will say, नहीं कौन सा रास्ता, कौन सा गड्ढा, देख सारे रास्ते ठीक है, कोई गड्ढा नहीं है कहीं पे. So what happens is then you get by with trying to do some, what we know in India as jugaad, and you try to fill the hole with some debris, or you try to fill the hole with some mitti, and you say, like they say in Punjabi, mitti pao yaar. You try to cover up that act of misgovernance with a little bit of efficiency that you can come up with your own resources. But the problem never gets solved. Then over a period of time, that hole becomes bigger. It becomes from one, it becomes 2 holes, and then 5 holes, and then 10 holes. And then where there used to be a road, now there are only holes. And people still refuse to acknowledge that there are holes in the road, or that the road has holes in it. And this is why having accurate data and accurate feedback mechanisms is extremely important for you to have a world-class road. And my open challenge to any government of India, whether it's a state government, the central government, remains that we don't have a single world-class road in India. The reason why that is true is because the accuracy of data or the feedback mechanism is broken.
Okay.
So you can take that and extrapolate that into any point of view, whether you want to take it and extrapolate it into the issues of air pollution, into the issues of our water resource management. 78% of our sewage today is untreated. It flows straight away into our water bodies, whether it's rivers, oceans, lakes. 78%. And similarly, if you take it to the garbage problem. So we never had a garbage problem in the 1980s, all the way up to the 90s, because we did not have a concept of garbage. So garbage, why didn't we have a concept of garbage? Because in India, you can peel a banana and throw the banana peel on the street. And with this 30-35 degrees centigrade temperature, generally within an hour or two, the banana peel disintegrates, it biodegrades and becomes soil. But then one fine morning, we invented something called packaging. You understand? And if you go to the northern hemisphere, like you go to a country like Sweden or Germany or US or wherever, the weather is cold over there, you peel a banana, throw the banana peel on the street. The banana peel will remain like that for the next 6 months. So it's only when snow melt will take place is when they will realize, oh, the banana peel is still on the street. I threw it last time 6 months ago. So it has to be disposed of in a proper manner. So they have a concept of garbage and we don't. And then we imported packaging and we built these miracle materials like plastic and concrete and glass, which don't biodegrade, they don't disintegrate. So now you peel that packaging and you throw it on the street and you think that it will biodegrade the way the banana peel does, but that doesn't happen. It remains there for 10,000 years. So you now have to build a concept of garbage disposal. And if you don't have the data, and today the data is that we have more than 3,500 landfills with over 138 crore tons of garbage, 140 crore tons of garbage, you could say, on a gross level. And this has come something we have created only in the past 25-30 years. So if you don't acknowledge that this is the size of the problem, that this problem exists, if that data doesn't come through to you, then no matter what you do, what you say, where you go, you will not make a beginning in terms of solving the problem. So the first point is acknowledging the problem, that the problem exists, and for that, acknowledging the data in real time, that the data exists, this is the data, this is the real time data, this is the positive feedback loop that we have. And now let us do something to fix the issue. That's how it works.
As you said that we need the real-time data, but what is the what is the credibility that the real-time data we are getting is accurate and is reliable to make policies based on that?
So, so far, if you go to see, I mean, right from the 1940s through to this day, we have had a great degree of pride in the credibility of our institutions. So whether it is institutions like Gokhale Institute, or whether it is institutions like the Indian Statistical Institute, or institutes like MOSPI and so on, all these institutions derived their credibility from the fact that they worked very hard to deliver data which is real time, which is factual, which is validated across maybe 3 levels, 4 levels, 5 levels, which is peer reviewed, which is published. And then there was this great degree of transparency in terms of at least publishing the data. And then you had the RTI Act which came in. And with the RTI Act, what happened is the last person in the queue started to get empowered. Because earlier the data was available, but it was privy. It was privileged access or eyes only access only to politicians or people in power or people who were bureaucrats or so on. Then with the Right to Information Act, what happened is data got democratized. So people they were able or empowered to be able to access their own data. That became a sort of a privilege which came to the common people.
But even as you say that data is available, there is open data policy, but some of the data that is present on the internet, on these websites only, it is so coded that
yeah, so let me finish. Then what happened is we had a sort of a regime which has come in now for the past maybe 10, 12 years, where there is a great emphasis on spin doctoring and no emphasis on real data. So when you have something like that happen, you have people in power who are able to get away with what we know as WhatsApp University Gyan. And there's no reality check on them. There's nobody to sit down and say, oh, boss, what you're saying is not true because your sources are incorrect, or that your data is not validated, or the methodology that you've used in collecting the data is not right. That is when we have a problem of the institutions getting undermined. And that has happened, unfortunately. But thankfully, due to technology, due to the availability of curious kids like you and podcasts and social media and whatever methods, you cannot really cover up the goings on. So some form or another, what happens is the data eventually surfaces. So you cannot cover up everything. So you can say that I'm doing Swachh Bharat, and you're doing Swachh Bharat for the past 11 years and the results on the ground are zero. So you cannot keep covering up and saying, oh no, I've been doing Swachh Bharat and I've made a difference, because the results are there for everyone to see. They're zero. And you've done nothing as far as Swachh Bharat is concerned except some photo ops and maybe some propaganda, which is all fine. I mean, it's part of the game. You need to do some propaganda to mobilize the people. But as far as an executive function is concerned, the accountability is zero. And what evidence is it? The data evidence is it. So that's why it's very important to remain true to the data.
Yeah. But as I was talking, that the last person may not interpret the data in the same way the organizations give the data. That the websites that have open data policy, they are very coded, and the last person cannot decode that and get access to that data, because at the end of the day, data is collected from those people, and at the end of the day, they have to get the benefit of the policies of the data that is presented to them. So what are your thoughts on that?
See, there are three real, I mean, if you want to look at it correctly, then there are three angles to this issue. Yeah. One angle is like I mentioned in the beginning, but maybe I should make it more specific, is that the degree of acknowledgement. You see, if you do not acknowledge that there is a problem, there is no problem. Yeah. And for people in power, it is very important for them not to acknowledge that there is a problem. Paper it over, cover it up. Let's not talk about it. So up till you're not willing to acknowledge a problem, you will never be able to solve the problem. And how is that done? That is done by telling you to shut up. You know, the moment you say, hey, there is a problem, there is a hole in the road, no, shut up, don't criticize the government. There is a problem, there is something wrong with this system, I'm not able to see it correctly because the data is not visible to me. No, shut up, you don't know. You're not supposed to criticize the government. You're not supposed to criticize the army. You're not supposed to criticize the parliament. You're not supposed to criticize the prime minister. You're not supposed to criticize the Pune Municipal Corporation. But if I am not allowed to criticize, if I am not allowed to critique something, if I am not allowed to say that there is a hole in the road, how is the hole in the road ever going to get fixed?
Yeah.
How are we ever going to come to terms with the fact that, oh, there is a hole in the road, it needs to get fixed? So the first problem is that, the acknowledgement issue. The second problem is this whole business of spin doctoring. You've seen a lot of economists come on, famous economists, come on many podcasts talking about a $50 trillion economy, 45. You've seen those numbers, right? Where are they getting these? I mean, come on. 10 years ago, somebody told us we are going to become a $5 trillion economy. 10 years ago. It's been 10 years, we're still not even a $4 trillion economy. So we were going to technically double in 10 years from a $2 trillion economy. We were going to become a $5 trillion economy. If you consider inflation, we were going to technically double. Where are we? We are not even a $4 trillion economy. But the data that is being sold to you is this hyperbole that, oh no, we'll become a $50 trillion economy in 2047, 2087. So I'm planning to print a bumper sticker which says, "Ghabraiye nahi, 2080 mein sab theek ho jayega." So this business of obfuscation, where you see the moment you try to discuss data, you are told, oh, don't worry, we'll look at 2047. Don't think about data right now, we'll look at 2080. Don't look at data right. So why are we talking about the data? There is a garbage problem. There is real data to evidence there is a garbage problem. But if you go and look up the Pune Municipal Corporation's ESR, it will say that Pune municipality is producing 2,500 tons of garbage every day for the past 6 years. So in 6 years, the garbage hasn't increased as per Pune Municipal Corporation's data. Now, when you go and try to point this out and say, how is it possible that in 6 years, your garbage problem hasn't grown from 2,500 tons to maybe 3,000 tons or 3,500 tons? Ideally, it should. You seem to say your population has grown. You want to give increased FSI to people. You want to give increased construction. You want to build more roads. You want to do all these things. Great. But what about this problem? What about the data with regard to this problem? So that's when there will be a thing. No. That's the data. So if you are not willing to, number one, acknowledge the problem, number two, actually become transparent about the fact that, okay, this is the real data and we have no problem with the real data, let us publish the data. Then the third angle, which is, let us sit down together and talk about solutions, where let's try and understand how we can solve these problems with the resources at hand. That aspect will never come. And this is what is going on right now. This problem that we cannot even sit down and discuss matters openly with any institution today in India is the biggest thing that we have to be shameful for.
So where do you think we should go from now on so that we do not face this problem in the future or right now also?
So I am a great believer in the basic fundamentals of research because I am an academic. I understand research. I understand that there is a certain qualitative aspect to research which cannot be replaced by anything. By academic rigor has no replacement. So it is our misfortune that we are being governed by people who are not qualified to understand the premise of research or the premise of academic rigor. But I feel that a time will definitely come when there will be a tipping point. And that tipping point has already come in Delhi with regard to air pollution. The tipping point has already come in Bangalore with regard to the water problem. The tipping point will come in other places with regard to either of these issues. The tipping point has come in this building, for instance, where the lift is not working. You are in the year 2025, and another 20 days, 30 days, we will be in 2025. And you are in 2025 and the light goes out. You are in 2025 and your roads have holes in them. You are in 2025 and you're breathing poison. You're in 2025, you're eating plastic. You're in 2025, you're drinking sewage. And these are problems that the rest of the world has solved 50 years ago. So how come, despite having the huge, humongous amount of resources that you have, your country or your city or your neighborhood is still going through these problems? So the problem is that you are not willing to acknowledge the data, to critically evaluate what the real data is for whatever it is, and 3, sit down and discuss with the people who know how to solve the problem, what the possible solutions could be. So 1, you don't want to acknowledge, so you want to browbeat everyone. You say, no, there is no problem. The problem doesn't exist, so what are you talking about? The second is, okay, if there is a problem that you acknowledge, once you go cross the first hurdle and say, all right, now let us understand the size of the problem. No, since there is no problem, let's not try to understand this. Wo bhi band. And the third thing is, okay, now let's sit down and discuss what is it that we can do to solve it. So there is no line of communication there either. So that's the reason why perhaps we will have to beat this game, beat this demon with research. We will have to do research, all academicians, students, people who have concern with regard to their environment, with regard to the future of this country. We all have to come together. We have to do research and we have to publish our research and take the real data as is to as many people that we can. And that's how you build the movement, the awareness.